The thunder of motorcycle engines rolled through the narrow downtown street. A wall of chrome and leather bearing down fast. Inside a sleek black sedan, Olivia Hart, CEO of Hart Tech, clutched the wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her bodyguard was stuck miles back in traffic, nowhere near her. The riders spread out, circling her car like wolves, their grins hidden behind dark visors. In the passenger seat, a man in a worn jacket let out a slow breath, his gaze sharp and calculating rather than afraid. "Stay calm," he murmured. "They picked the wrong car today." The leader of the pack slammed a boot against the hood, leaning close to peer through the glass at Olivia. Her pulse hammered in her ears. "What do they want?" she whispered. "They want fear," the man beside her said, his voice calm. "Maybe more. But they won't touch you. Not while I'm here." A heavy thud rattled the roof. Olivia flinched, but the man, Jack Mason, was already counting them, assessing their weapons, their angles. 6 total, chains and bats in hand. He leaned closer. "When I say so, unlock your door." Her eyes snapped toward him. "Are you insane?" A faint smile tugged at his lips, though it held no humor, just certainty. "Trust me. And keep your head down." Before she could argue, the lead biker yanked on her handle. Locked. He banged on the glass, shouting muffled curses. That was the moment Jack moved. The door flew open, slamming hard into the biker's knee. The man stumbled back with a howl, but Jack was already out, moving with a precision that was far from random bravado. His every step was clean, deliberate, trained. A chain whipped through the air. Jack caught it mid-swing, twisted, and tore it from its owner before shoving the man away. Another lunged with a bat, but Jack dropped low, swept his legs, and sent him sprawling. The leader drew a knife. Jack didn't so much as blink. "Bad choice," he said, voice calm but edged like steel. Something in his tone froze the biker mid-step. Jack disarmed him in a blur, tossed the knife aside, and leaned in close. Whatever he whispered turned the man's face pale. Moments later, engines roared back to life as the gang scattered, vanishing down the street. Olivia sat frozen, her chest heaving. Jack slipped back into the car, brushing dust off his jacket as if nothing had happened. "You okay?" he asked. She stared, wide-eyed. "Who are you?" He gave her a small, unreadable smile. Just a single dad trying to get home. But she didn't buy it. Not after what she'd just seen. As he buckled his seatbelt, Olivia's hands still shook. "You could have been killed," she said softly. Jack's eyes flicked toward her. "I don't let people get hurt if I can stop it. Especially not right in front of me." Her throat tightened. She shifted into gear. The sedan rolling forward, crunching over faint tire marks left behind. Yet her gaze kept drifting to him. His scraped knuckles, his steady breathing, the sharp calm in his eyes. They reminded her of hardened executives she'd faced across boardroom tables. Except his edge was far more dangerous. "You've done this before," she finally said. He gave the faintest shrug. "Once or twice." She almost laughed, but stopped short. "That wasn't once or twice." She studied him, then asked, "Who are you really?" Jack turned his eyes to the rain-speckled glass. "Used to work with a team. Like family. We handled things nobody else could." Her pulse quickened. "SWAT?" He nodded. "Until I left." Her voice was barely a whisper. "You were captain?" "Yes," he said simply. She sat back, torn between relief and unease. "Why walk away from that?" His jaw tightened. "Because my daughter needed me more than the badge did." The weight of those words lingered. Olivia saw him not as the man who dismantled 6 armed bikers in minutes, but as a father who had made a choice no one else could. At the next light, she turned to him. "You didn't even know me. Why step in?" His gaze met hers, steady as stone. "Because I know what it's like to have nobody in your corner. And I don't sit back when someone's in trouble." The way he said it, without bravado, without expectation, made something inside her chest tighten. She wasn't used to kindness without strings attached. But the moment shattered when her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She swiped it, and her blood ran cold. "Nice bodyguard. Won't save you next time." "Jack," she began, but headlights flared in the rearview mirror. 2 bikes. Same paint, same skull insignias. "They're tailing us," Jack said evenly. "Keep steady." Don't speed up, don't slow down. Her grip trembled on the wheel. You can't just. I can. And I will. His eyes swept the alleys, the cross streets, calculating. When one bike swerved closer, his voice cut sharp. Left. Now. She obeyed, tires squealing as they shot into a side street. The bikers followed. The narrow lane ended in brick and dumpsters, only one way out. Stop, Jack ordered. Her eyes widened. They'll trap us. Exactly. He unbuckled. Lock the doors. Don't open them unless I knock twice. Before she could protest, he was gone. The slap of his boots echoed on wet pavement as the bikers rolled in. Engines dying, confidence oozing. Brave of you to step out alone. One sneered, dismounting. You're gonna regret. Jack struck before the words finished, dragging the rider off his bike and slamming him to the ground. The second lunged with a chain, but Jack snapped the sedan door shut, metal clanging against metal. His voice rang low, cold, carrying in the narrow alley. Tell your friends to stay away from her. First and last warning. The man laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. And if we don't? Jack's eyes narrowed. His tone turned to ice. Then I stop warning. There was an edge to his voice, controlled, dangerous, that froze both men where they stood. Neither spoke. A beat later, they swung onto their bikes and sped off into the night, engines snarling against the rain. Jack turned back, his breathing even, as though none of it had rattled him. He rapped twice on the window. Olivia leaned across and unlocked the door. You scare me, she whispered when he slid inside. Good. He buckled his seatbelt, his gaze cutting briefly to her. Because now they'll think twice before trying again. And if they don't, he let the thought hang, eyes narrowing. I'll be ready. Olivia's chest tightened. She couldn't decide if she felt safer with him beside her, or more at risk than ever. The skyline smeared into a wash of light through the rain-spotted glass, her grip on the wheel finally easing a fraction. The storm thickened, rain tapping against the roof and drowning out the hum of the engine. Jack sat still, his eyes flicking between mirrors, scanning their surroundings with the patience of a man who never truly let his guard down. It was Olivia who broke the silence. You've done this before. Not just SWAT. You've protected people like me. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth, humorless and sharp. Not like you. People like you usually came with their own bodyguards. My work was different. We didn't do it for a paycheck. We stepped in because if we didn't, no one else would. Her brow furrowed. Then why were you even on this street tonight? Picking up my daughter. She decided to stay for a movie with her friend. I was heading home when I saw your car blocked in. Olivia replayed the way he had moved earlier. Calm, efficient, every step measured. You're not just some guy who used to be SWAT, she murmured. You're dangerous. Jack's eyes flicked toward her, steady and unflinching. Only when I need to be. The sincerity in his tone caught her off guard. Her world had long been filled with polished smiles that hid knives, handshakes meant to trap, and deals laced with poison. Real kindness, uncalculated and without demand, was a rarity. Why not just call the police? She asked. A dry laugh escaped him. By the time they showed up, you'd be another name on a report. Sometimes you can't wait for help. You have to be it. His words struck deeper than she expected. She thought back to the bikers surrounding her car, the fear choking her breath, until his voice had cut through, calm and sure. They picked the wrong car today. Jack, she said softly, you risked your life for me, and you don't even know me. He looked away, jaw tight. I've seen what happens when good people look the other way. I promised myself I'd never do that again. Before she could respond, headlights flared in her mirror. Too close, too steady. A car tailed them, refusing to pass. Jack's body stiffened. Keep driving. Same speed. Her throat went dry. That's them, isn't it? Probably, he said, voice turning to steel. But this time, it ends here. He instructed her to turn sharply down a side street. She obeyed, the tires hissing on wet pavement. The road narrowed, dim streetlights casting more shadow than glow. Pull up by that alley, Jack ordered. Her pulse hammered as she stopped. He was already out of his seatbelt, pulling a compact flashlight and a folded strip of metal from his jacket. Stay inside, he said firmly. No matter what happens. Don't come out unless I tell you. Her hand shot out, grasping his arm. Jack, please. Don't get hurt. For the first time that night, his expression softened. His smile was brief but warm, steadying. I'll be fine. This isn't the worst I've faced. Then he stepped out into the rain. The following car rolled to a halt a few yards away. Two men climbed out, their jackets unmistakable even in the haze of mist and streetlight. Olivia's breath fogged the glass as she clutched the wheel, eyes locked on Jack. He didn't rush. His pace was deliberate, balanced. A man walking into a conversation rather than a fight, but his stance carried a readiness that made her shiver. One of the bikers, tall and broad with a snake tattoo crawling up his neck, smirked. You again. You think you can? Jack's voice cut him off, calm but edged with iron. I'll say this once. Leave her alone. Leave me alone. Forget this night ever happened. The younger biker, eyes twitching with reckless energy, laughed harshly. Or what? You gonna call the cops, hero? Jack's flashlight beam sliced across their faces, forcing them to squint. His reply was low, casual, yet heavy enough to sink into the air. I don't need the cops. The younger one lunged, throwing a quick jab. Jack caught his wrist mid-strike, twisted and stepped aside, sending him stumbling into the wall with a cry. The tall one swung a chain, steel glinting under the rain. Jack ducked, drove forward, and slammed his shoulder into the man's chest. The biker crumpled to the pavement, air knocked from his lungs, chain clattering across the concrete. Olivia's pulse raced. This wasn't wild brawling. This was precision. Controlled. Every move calculated to shut down the threat without wasting motion. The younger man scrambled up, cursing. But Jack's voice cracked the night like a whip. Enough. Even the rain seemed to hush. He stepped forward, eyes cold, voice carrying the weight of wars unspoken. I've seen men twice your size beg for mercy. I've carried brothers out of fights you wouldn't last a minute in. I've buried friends because some fool thought fear made him powerful. Don't make me add your names to that list. The bikers froze. Something shifted between them, a glance, a recognition. They weren't staring at some man defending a woman anymore. They were staring at someone who had walked through hell and survived. Without a word, they backed off, mounted their bikes, and peeled away, their engines fading into the storm. Jack waited a moment longer, scanning the shadows, before finally turning back. His stride never changed, measured, steady. Olivia unlocked the door. He slid in, rain dripping from his jacket, his face calm as ever. They won't trouble you again, he said. She studied him, searching for adrenaline, anger, anything. But there was only resolve. Why do I believe you more than I'd believe a police report? She asked. His lips curved faintly. Because I don't make promises I can't keep. The rest of the drive was quiet, but no longer empty. The fear had shifted into something steadier. Something she almost trusted. When they reached her building, she lingered, keys still in the ignition. Jack. I don't know how to thank you. He shook his head. Don't need thanks. Just pass it on. Someone else will need help one day. Her voice was soft. You said you left SWAT for your daughter. Does she know who you really are? For a moment, the steel in his eyes melted into something tender. She knows I'm her dad. That's all that matters. And then he was gone, stepping back into the rain. Olivia sat in silence, watching him disappear into the storm. She knew he carried more than he let on, battles, scars, choices carved into him like stone. And something deep inside told her this wasn't the last time their paths would cross.